Boys are hypergirls are inattentive. The ADHD gender gap. Were you the quiet one in school? The daydreamer who was always told you had so much potential if you'd just apply yourself? For millions of girls, these were the invisible signs of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. While we've all been taught to spot the hyperactive boy bouncing off the walls, we've systematically overlooked the quiet girl staring out the window. This diagnostic gap leaves millions of women struggling in silence, often for decades. They are the lost girls, and this is their story. A disorder dressed in blue. When you picture ADHD, you probably see a young boy who can't sit still. This isn't just a stereotype. It's the foundation our entire understanding of ADHD was built on. The diagnostic criteria and research were all overwhelmingly based on how ADHD shows up in hyperactive boys. The result? In childhood, boys are diagnosed about 2 to 3 times more often than girls. This isn't because girls don't have ADHD. It's because their ADHD looks different. A boy's disruptive symptoms demand attention, but a girl's quiet struggle is often labeled as shyness or disinterest. Her struggles are turned inward, so they don't get her a referral. What ADHD looks like in girls. So, if it's not jumping out of a seat, what does ADHD in girls look like? It often looks quiet and inward. Girls are more likely to have the inattentive type, where the biggest struggles are internalized. Think less running around the room and more getting lost in your own thoughts. It can look like chronic forgetfulness, extreme disorganization, and a distorted sense of time. Even hyperactivity can be subtle. Restless legs, skin picking, or just a feeling of internal restlessness that never shuts off. Impulsivity might be verbal, blurting things out, or emotional, with intense feelings that are hard to regulate. Masking and misdiagnosis. How do so many girls slip through the cracks? One reason is masking. From a young age, girls are often socialized to be agreeable, so they learn to hide their struggles. The girl with ADHD works 3 times as hard just to appear normal, becoming a perfectionist to hide the fact that her brain is fighting her every step of the way. This constant masking is draining and leads to burnout, anxiety, and depression. When women do seek help, it's often for these secondary problems, and the root cause of ADHD is missed. The result is a devastating delay in diagnosis. While boys are often diagnosed around age 7, many women aren't diagnosed until their 30s or 40s. If any of this sounds painfully familiar, share your experience in the comments. You'll realize you are not alone. The high cost of silence. Living for decades with undiagnosed ADHD destroys self-esteem. Women internalize a lifetime of negative feedback, leading to the core belief that they are a failure. This takes a staggering toll. Women with undiagnosed ADHD have a much higher risk of chronic anxiety, major depression, and eating disorders. The consequences ripple through every part of life, from not living up to potential in school to trouble holding down a job and instability in relationships. These are the direct results of a real neurological condition being left untreated. The path to hope. The good news is that this is finally starting to change. Thanks to advocates and women sharing their stories online, awareness is growing and the gender gap is narrowing. If this video hits close to home, seek an evaluation from a professional who understands how ADHD presents in women. Getting a diagnosis as an adult can change everything. It's not a label, it's an explanation. It's the light bulb moment that reframes a lifetime of struggle, replacing self-blame with self-compassion. It's the realization that you aren't lazy or broken. Your brain is just wired differently. For far too long, the story of ADHD was told from a male perspective. But the tide is turning. By shining a light on this gender gap, we can make sure the next generation of girls won't have to wait half a lifetime to be seen. A diagnosis isn't the end of the story. For so many women, it's the beginning of a life where they can finally stop fighting against themselves and start to thrive.